Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I am the Omni viewer, and we've got some updates about the upcoming Godzilla manga. First of all, a title was announced while I was feeling ill, and that is Godzilla Galaxy Odyssey, which implies some kind of spacefaring idea. Although it could also mean things coming from space to us. We don't really know at this point. I think plot details are still a little slim on that. However, what we have just recently gotten is a full look at both Godzilla and the Gotengo as they will appear in this series, courtesy of this image right here. Now, as we can see, the Gotengo's looking relatively familiar. It seems like it's kind of a slightly sleeker version of the Final Wars design. Sort of like if the Final Wars design was a bit less angular and more aerodynamic or hydrodynamic, if you will, kind of like the original, although it's clearly not the original. The drill is certainly looking very different, futuristic, kind of Gurren Lagann-ish, and there's a lot of lime green going on there. But of course, we also need to look at Godzilla himself. This is a slimmer Godzilla design, differently proportioned than Godzilla Evolved, of course, but you can kind of see a bit of an influence. We also see that in addition to those arm spikes, there are also now knee spikes, apparently. And honestly, at this point, I'm starting to wonder if they're even going to serve a purpose. Because, like I said, Godzilla's had arm spikes for a while now. He had them in Singular Point, -1, and GXK, but he has yet to actually use them. In Singular Point, Godzilla Ultima wasn't really a combat fighter. He just sort of plodded around, did some long range attacks, but once Jet Jaguar got in close, the fight was basically lost. Godzilla isn't a close quarters combatant in that series. In -1, he had the elbow spikes, but he didn't have another monster to fight, and we never saw him use them against battleships or buildings or anything. And in GXK, he was practically covered in spikes, including the arm ones, and he was doing a lot of close quarters combat, but at the same time, the arm spikes didn't really seem to come into play. At this point, it's just feeling like they're just there for decoration. I don't know. But I think even more intriguing are the spines. You can see here, they have the familiar shape of being vaguely triangular with protrusions coming off of them, but the protrusions are a different color. It's like those blue crystalline portions are growing out from beneath the shell of the gray portions or something. I don't know if that's going to be a significant detail to this particular iteration of Godzilla or not. You gotta recognize at a certain point that sometimes aesthetic choices exist purely to set the design apart and might not necessarily have a deeper meaning. If there are clues here, though, what could it mean? Could this mean that Godzilla has some sort of a tie to something extraterrestrial in this series? At this point, I don't know. It's an interesting design, though, and actually one I'd like to see in animation as well. It'd be interesting to see if this particular Godzilla manga gets its own anime adaptation. Although, given that Godzilla anime haven't been doing so well the last couple times they tried, it might be a while before they try again. Or maybe this manga is a way to test the water and see if this story is popular enough that it's worth adapting. Again, I have no idea. All I know is that we now know what Godzilla and the Gotengo look like in this series, and it's looking good so far. So, we'll find out soon enough what all of this is ultimately leading to. But until such time as that happens, this is the Omni viewer signing off.